When the slap landed across my face, the sting wasn't just on my skin. It sliced through every dream I had built over the last 5 years. My body stumbled back, but my mind was stuck replaying Jason's cold words, "You're just pregnant, not dying." Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall in front of him. I wasn't weak. I couldn't afford to be, not now. My name's Harper, and this is the story of how I learned the hard way that love, family, and loyalty aren't always what they seem. I met Jason 5 years ago when I was 28, working as a content strategist in Austin, Texas. At 33, he was a promising property developer, confident, smooth-talking, and attentive. Our whirlwind romance led to what I thought was the perfect marriage. We had a cozy home, a comfortable life, and dreams of building a future together. For the first few years, everything seemed to fit perfectly until his family came between us. Jason's 30-year-old sister, Sophia, worked as a wedding planner, and his mother, Diana, was a widow who held an overwhelming influence over him. At first, I admired their closeness, but it wasn't long before I saw the cracks. Diana would often criticize me in subtle, backhanded ways, and Sophia followed suit. Jason always brushed off my concerns, leaving me to silently endure the insults. But the true nightmare began when I became pregnant. The complications hit early: dizziness, exhaustion, and eventually blurred vision that made simple tasks difficult. I needed Jason's support, but instead, he became distant, spending most of his time at his mother's house, or helping Sophia plan her wedding. I was 8 months pregnant, and the wedding was just days away when everything spiraled out of control. The night before Jason was scheduled to leave for New York for Sophia's wedding, I logged into our joint bank account to pay some hospital bills. My heart stopped when I saw the balance. Almost everything was gone. Panic surged through me as I scrolled through the transactions. Tens of thousands of dollars had been withdrawn, leaving us with just a few hundred to our name. I stormed into the living room, where Jason sat on the couch scrolling through his phone. "Jason," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "where's all our money?" He didn't even look up. "I used it for Sophia's wedding," he replied, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. My hands trembled. "That money was for the hospital bills for the baby. How could you do this to us?" Jason finally glanced up, his expression cold. "Stop overreacting, Harper. The wedding is important. You'll figure out the bills." His indifference left me breathless. "I'm 8 months pregnant. I can barely afford the medical care I need, and you expect me to just figure it out?" "Yes," he said, standing up. "You always make everything about you." Before I could respond, his hand lashed out, the slap hitting me hard enough to make me stumble backward. My hand flew to my burning cheek as tears welled in my eyes. I stood there, frozen, as he gathered his things. Diana and Sophia stood by the door, ready to leave for the airport. Sophia smirked. "Don't be so dramatic, Harper," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. Jason didn't even glance back as he followed them out the door, leaving me standing there, alone and shaking. The sound of the door slamming echoed through the house, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. My hands trembled as I clutched my stomach, feeling the small but steady kicks of my unborn twins. Yes, twins. Jason didn't even know because I hadn't told him yet. What was the point now? He had drained our savings, slapped me, and abandoned me when I needed him the most. I tried to breathe steadily, but my thoughts raced as I checked the empty bank account again, hoping it was some mistake. It wasn't. The money was gone, stolen for a wedding I hadn't even been invited to. My rent was due in 2 weeks, the hospital bills were piling up, and I had no way to pay for any of it. Tears streamed down my face as reality crashed over me. I was on my own. My hands were shaking as I dialed Jason's number, not because I expected him to pick up, but because I was desperate. It went straight to voicemail. I tried Diana next, then Sophia. No answer. I was completely cut off. My breath hitched, and a wave of panic set in. The stress overwhelmed me until a sharp pain suddenly shot through my abdomen. I doubled over, clutching the arm of the couch as the pain intensified. I told myself it was just stress, but when I felt the warm trickle of fluid down my leg, dread filled my chest. My water had broken. I wasn't ready. The babies weren't due for another 5 weeks. My heart raced as I frantically grabbed my phone and dialed the only person I could trust, my best friend, Rachel. She picked up on the third ring, her groggy voice immediately switching to alarm when she heard me gasping for air. "Harper, what's wrong?" "I think I'm in labor," I choked out, tears streaming down my face. "Stay where you are." "I'm coming right now," she said without hesitation. By the time Rachel arrived, I was on the floor, gripping my stomach in agony. She rushed to help me to my feet and guided me to her car. The drive to the hospital was a blur of pain, fear, and exhaustion. The last thing I remembered was Rachel holding my hand and whispering, "You're not alone, Harper. You're going to be okay." When I woke up, the sterile smell of the hospital filled my senses, and the soft beeping of monitors was the only sound in the room. My body felt heavy, but the excruciating pain was gone. I blinked slowly, turning my head toward the small bassinets near the bed. My breath caught in my throat as I saw them, two tiny bundles wrapped in soft blankets, sleeping peacefully. A boy and a girl. My tears fell freely as I reached out to touch their small hands, their warmth grounding me in a way I desperately needed. Rachel appeared beside me, her eyes soft and comforting. "They're perfect," she whispered. "Strong and healthy." I sobbed quietly, overwhelmed by relief. I had made it. I had brought them into the world despite everything working against me. But as I gazed at my children's faces, reality hit me hard. This wasn't just about me anymore. I had 2 lives depending on me, and I couldn't afford to make any more mistakes. Staying with Jason wasn't an option. He had proven, time and time again, that I meant nothing to him. I wouldn't let him ruin my life, or theirs. Rachel seemed to sense what I was thinking. She placed a hand on my shoulder. "You know what you need to do," she said softly. I nodded, my jaw tightening. "I'm leaving him." The moment I was discharged, I filed for divorce, without hesitation. There was no second-guessing, no fear holding me back. I had nothing left to lose. Jason was still in New York when the papers were served, and when he returned, I was ready. He walked into the house with his usual arrogance, tossing his jacket on the couch as if nothing had happened. When he saw the divorce papers sitting on the kitchen table, he smirked. "You're being dramatic," he said, dismissively pushing the papers aside. My hands balled into fists. "Dramatic?" I repeated, my voice shaking with rage. "You drained our savings, abandoned me when I was 8 months pregnant, and I gave birth without you. I had to figure everything out on my own." Jason rolled his eyes. "You handled it, didn't you?" That was it. I realized then that he didn't care, never had and never would. "You're a monster, Jason," I whispered. "And I'm done with you." As the divorce proceedings moved forward, I uncovered the final betrayal. Jason had been having an affair with Victoria, a wealthy investor he met through work. While I struggled to make ends meet, he had been dining at fancy restaurants and attending luxury events with her. The betrayal should have devastated me, but all I felt was a cold, empty numbness. I was too exhausted to be heartbroken. The divorce was already in motion, and my focus had shifted to building a future for my children. Jason, on the other hand, acted like the divorce was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. He barely fought it, too confident in his new relationship with Victoria. He believed she was his ticket to a better life. One day, during our final conversation, he smirked at me. "You'll regret this, Harper. I'm about to be rich, and you'll still be struggling in that little apartment of yours." I stared at him, seeing for the first time the man who had built his entire life on illusions. He wasn't worth my words.
I didn't respond.
After the divorce was finalized, I poured my energy into rebuilding my life. It wasn't easy. Balancing work as a freelance web designer, childcare, and recovering from the pregnancy complications took everything I had. There were days when I cried alone at night, overwhelmed by the weight of it all, but I didn't let myself break. My children needed me. Meanwhile, Jason and Victoria flaunted their lavish lifestyle on social media. Pictures of exotic vacations, high-end restaurants, and luxurious parties filled my feed. His mother, Diana, and sister, Sophia, continued to cling to him, proud of their connection to Victoria's wealth. I ignored it all, choosing to focus on what truly mattered, my children and our future. Then, one afternoon, my phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. "Harper, you're not going to believe this. Check the news." I opened the link, my heart pounding, and there it was, front-page news. Victoria had been running a massive financial scam, laundering millions through fake investments and conning wealthy clients. She had drained Jason's accounts and disappeared overnight. His house, cars, and savings were gone. He was left with nothing but debt and public humiliation. My breath hitched as I read through the article. Margaret had lost her home. Sophia's marriage had fallen apart after her in-laws found out about the scandal. Jason had been blacklisted from the property development industry, labeled a liability. No one wanted to work with a man tied to such a public disgrace. I sat there for a moment, processing everything. A wave of satisfaction washed over me. This was karma, pure and simple. Days later, my phone rang. I looked at the screen and saw Margaret's name. I hesitated for a moment before answering, curiosity getting the better of me. "Harper," Margaret's voice trembled. "We need your help." I nearly laughed at the desperation in her tone. "Help? Why would you call me?" "Jason has lost everything," she said quickly. "Victoria drained all his accounts, and we've been evicted from our homes. We have nowhere to go." I let her words hang in the air, savoring the irony of the moment. This was the same woman who had stood by while her son drained my savings and abandoned me. "You didn't seem concerned about family when you left me alone, pregnant and broke," I said coldly. "Harper, please," she begged, her voice breaking. "The children need their father. We made mistakes, but we're family." The word family coming from her mouth made me sick. I thought about the night they left me behind, the slap, the empty bank account, and the fear I felt giving birth alone. I thought about all the times I had begged Jason to see my pain and how he had dismissed me without a second thought. "You made your choices," I said, my voice firm. "Now live with them." I hung up, and for the first time in years, I felt truly free. Margaret didn't call back. Neither did Jason. They knew. They finally knew that I wasn't the woman they could manipulate anymore. That version of me was gone. I glanced around my small but peaceful home, where my twins slept soundly in their cribs. They were safe, loved, and untouched by the chaos of their father's family. That was what mattered most. Not Jason's downfall, not Margaret's regret, not Sophia's ruined life. Rachel came over that evening with takeout and a bottle of wine. She grinned as she set the food on the table. "You're glowing," she teased. I laughed, shaking my head. "I just feel free." "Are you even a little bit tempted to check up on them?" Rachel asked, pulling out her phone. I hesitated before sighing. "I already know everything I need to know." Jason got exactly what he deserved. "Still," she smirked, sliding her phone across the table. "You might want to see this." Curiosity got the better of me, and I glanced at the screen. It was a picture of Jason, unshaven, slumped on a park bench, looking utterly defeated. The headline above the photo read, "Former real estate developer Jason Caldwell bankrupted by millionaire scammer." I skimmed through the article. His home had been repossessed, his car taken, and his accounts emptied. He was in debt, blacklisted from the industry, and living off favors from anyone willing to help. I set the phone down, shaking my head. "It's poetic, really." "How so?" Rachel asked, resting her chin on her hand. "He left me because he thought he could do better," I said simply. "Turns out, he was just another pawn in someone else's game. The way he used me, Victoria used him." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "And if he came crawling back, begging for forgiveness?" I let out a slow, amused laugh. "Not in a million years. Life wasn't perfect, but it was finally mine. I rebuilt everything from the ground up, pouring my energy into creating a future for myself and my twins. I found a better-paying job as a digital marketing consultant, which allowed me to move into a more comfortable apartment. My kids thrived, and I made sure they would never grow up feeling neglected or unloved. They were my strength, my motivation, and the reason I kept going on the days when life felt overwhelming. Some nights, I would lie awake, haunted by memories of that final night with Jason, the slap, the empty bank account, the loneliness. But those memories no longer held the same power over me. Instead, they were reminders of what I had survived and what I would never allow to happen again. Months passed, and I rarely thought about Jason or his family. But one day, nearly a year after Margaret's desperate phone call, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. For a moment, I debated ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. I answered. "Hello?" There was silence before a familiar voice whispered, "Harper." I closed my eyes, instantly recognizing Jason's voice. But this time, he didn't sound arrogant or dismissive. He sounded hollow, defeated. "I don't know where else to go," he murmured. "I have nothing, no home, no money, no family." I exhaled slowly, the weight of his words sinking in. He had lost everything, and yet I felt nothing. No sympathy, no anger, no satisfaction. Just emptiness. "I'm sorry," Jason continued, his voice cracking. "For everything." I shook my head, even though he couldn't see me. "I don't think you even understand what that means, Jason. Can we talk?" he asked, desperation creeping into his tone. "Just for a minute?" I smiled faintly, knowing exactly what I needed to say. "Jason, you're a stranger to me now. I don't owe you anything." And with that, I hung up the phone. No second chances, no forgiveness, just peace. I sat there for a long time, letting the weight of closure settle over me. For years, I had been trapped in a cycle of betrayal and pain, but now, I was free. Free to live, free to love, and free to give my children the life they deserved. Jason was nothing more than a lesson, a warning of what happens when you let someone else hold the pen to your story. But not anymore. I was the author now, and I was writing a future filled with strength, love, and hope. My past didn't define me. I had reclaimed my life, and it was only the beginning. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give it a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more captivating stories. Your support means the world to me. Thank you.